videos from all over the internet that's going to make you question reality. Let's just start.
I'm telling you right now, Elon Musk is in trouble. My last video got taken down about this, so let's try this again. Elon Musk has been removed from the White House and no longer has access to President Donald Trump. But here's what really went down behind the scenes that nobody is talking about, and also what it means going forward. I have family in the White House and I've been right about everything so far, so listen up. But before we get into all of that, let's set the stage. Elon Musk was appointed by President Donald Trump to lead the newly established Department of Government Efficiency, also known as DOGE. This role granted Elon Musk significant influence as well as direct access to Donald Trump, as well as an office within the West Wing in the White House. However, things recently changed. I'll get into that in a second, but here's what happened. Musk was removed from the West Wing and now has an office in the Eisenhower building, which is like down the street. Here's where things get interesting. Elon Musk wasn't just removed from the West Wing, he was also demoted. Meaning, initially, Elon Musk was supposed to directly report to Donald Trump, whereas now he is reporting to Trump's chief of staff, Susan Wiles, which obviously directly affects his access to Donald Trump. Something important to mention here is that this decision didn't come from Susie Wiles on her own. This kind of move only comes directly from Donald Trump.
Obviously.
So what changed? Well, if you can connect the dots, this looks like payback. Musk
Payback for what?
publicly mocked Trump's $500 billion investment announcement and questioning whether Stargate even had the money. Obviously, Trump didn't respond publicly, but this move alone speaks volumes. Partnership between these two is crumbling and is crumbling fast. From what I've been warned, a major fallout between Elon Musk and Donald Trump is approaching. Stay tuned because this is just the beginning.
This is how those fraud boys build a company up, smack it for loans, and then run off into the sunset, or the desert. So in Tokens, there's a character called Sam, who's the king of white-collar crime. Anything tax fraud or corporate fraud related, he's your man. And this time we're going to talk about what he does with UK limited companies. First things first, he spends the 20 odd quid needed to register a company at Companies House. Obviously, he pays someone to act as director, and that person doesn't usually live in the UK anyway. Then Sam plays the long game. He spends a year building the company, on paper at least. He makes transactions through the bank accounts, he gets reviews written on Google, he has a legitimate looking website. By the end of the year, the company is looking as legit as any other, but there's nothing under the hood. You know those Ferrari kit cars that look the part? Well, his company is that. But this is where the fun starts for Sam. He files his yearly accounts, and on paper, this company has made crazy profits. So now Sam can go and lease a load of MacBooks and iPhones, we're talking 20, 30 of each, and they'll get sold immediately and the finance will never get paid. And then he turns to the banks. He'll apply for a load of different types of loans and get approved for 100 grand or so. Now when the loan money lands, Sam finds someone who's got dirty cash that they want to clean. He then transfers them funds into a bank account of their choosing, and he takes the cash. And pays a commission, of course. Next up, Sam gets a business credit card, and that's another 15 grand he's got access to. As soon as this card comes in the post, Sam sends someone straight to Selfridges to pick up some bits. Of course, he's making sure that he's not being picked up on CCTV using that card, because he's got nothing to do with that company on paper. In fact, at this point, Sam's running the whole scheme from abroad. And while he's doing this, he's got 10 other companies running the same scheme. Anyway, that's enough for part one. Sam's storyline in Tokens is actually crazy. This stuff barely scratches the surface. Follow me for more.
JP Morgan has that famous quote, "Millionaires don't believe in astrology, billionaires do." In 1926, the New York Times reported on an astrologer who said she regularly read Morgan's horoscope for him, explaining the changing position of the planets and their probable effects on politics, business, and the stock market. JP Morgan even invited this astrologer, Evangeline Adams, to visit Asia for a scientific investigation of the occult, whatever that means. Angeline said that 3 successive presidents of the New York Stock Exchange constantly consulted her for information that would guide their operations.
There is science behind Jesus walking on water. This is going to blow your mind. This is obviously a supernatural miracle, but it seems as if God had science mimic this to show us that the Bible is the truth. I'm going to show you a simple experiment, and then the scripture is going to blow you away. I have some copper coins, a little ladle I made out of a paper clip, and my jar of water, just to show you that these are actually copper. Now I'm going to carefully lower one into my water. 2 places in Revelation reference Jesus' feet being like burnished bronze. The Greek word for fine brass is only used in those 2 verses in Revelation and nowhere else in the Bible. The first part of the word means bronze, copper, or metal. And if you don't know, bronze is partly made of copper. The second part of the word is translated as frankincense or incense, but in this compound, it's debated and may refer to shining or glowing, possibly linked to purification or refinement. So his feet were made of glowing, refined copper or bronze, and look at what happens when you put them on water. This blew me away even more because I realized when I put 2 coins in the water, they don't do anything. When I put 3, they find each other. So now I'm like, did God also code in the Trinity? He is so complex with everything.
This is wild.
God is so incredible. Most people think that this is God and this is science. But the more I read and understand the Bible, the more I realize this is God and this is science.
Artificial intelligence is often misconceived as a rival to humans in the field of video production. But let's uncover the truth about this collaboration. Contrary to popular belief, AI does not replace human creativity. Instead, it enhances it. AI tools streamline the editing process, automate repetitive tasks, and provide instant data analytics, allowing creators to focus more on storytelling and innovation. For instance, AI-powered software can efficiently organize vast amounts of footage, detect errors, and suggest improvements, saving countless hours of manual work. However, it's the human touch that crafts narratives and evokes emotion. By embracing AI, creators can amplify their creativity and efficiency. In reality, the synergy between AI and humans is not a contest, but a harmonious partnership that propels the art of video production into the future.
Female primates will look to the top of the trees for the alpha male. They will go up to the top and try and impress the alpha male, but if they don't get his attention, they'll go to the next rung to the lieutenants. And if they don't get the lieutenant's attention, they'll go further down the tree until they'll finally find a male that will accept them. But they never actually love the male they're with. They're constantly still looking up the tree. And the reality is they don't even love the alpha male at the top of the tree. What women crave, so many women crave, is status. Status isn't even about men. The status is their relationship with other women. They want to be perceived because it's cutthroat with women. Women are nasty to each other. Now, they all aren't. There's some really powerful, good women out there that have transcended this or never bought into this bullshit. But most women are so bought into status that they will sacrifice almost anything to feel like they got an edge up on other women. That's why women will shoot up their face with all kinds of bullshit. They're gonna look like a clown in 20 years, but right now, it gives them a status symbol. If Taylor Swift and started telling everybody this was like a status symbol, you would see women all over the country cutting off their left hand to keep up with that because it would give them a sense of status. And as a man, you need to understand this. These are the types of women that will never, ever love you. The good women are often hard to see because they don't look as prissy. Sometimes they look a little more humble, they look a little more homely because they're not putting a priority on that type of bullshit. They're putting a priority on character. If you want a good woman, as a man, you got to start acting like a good man. You got to look past the surface bullshit. Otherwise, you're just setting yourself up for failure.
A lot of the people who I work with these days in terms of consulting, a lot of what I do began by working with clients one-to-one. And some of you might need to hear this little phrase. Just because you're good at something doesn't mean you have to do it for the rest of your life.
True that.
12 years, really 14 years, working with clients one-to-one, thousands of clients. And really the turning point in the story was a moment where on the surface, business was booming. 35 clients one-to-one a week, charging a high value amount. I've been running things in a way that wasn't sustainable. I've been running things in a way that kind of looked the same as what everyone else was doing. And I'm messaging back home going, I'm gonna be late, here's what's going on. And that was that turning point to go, you know what, just because you can doesn't mean you should. Just because this is the way you've always done it doesn't mean it's the way that it's always got to be.
The entire planet needs to see this video. Literally. When you enter the Great Pyramid through the main entrance,
Giza,
which is absolutely massive, you are confronted with what's referred to as the Grand Gallery. After you travel through that little guy, you are in the King's Chamber. This chamber is 2 perfect squares side by side. No measurement, just proportion. I extensively cover this in Geometrix, but let me explain why this is important. 2 squares, any size, width is 1, length is 2. The diagonal is 2.236 in units, not measurement. If you add those together, you get 5.236. So the perimeter of that triangle. 5.236 is the measurement of the width of the King's Chamber in meters. But the meter was discovered in the 1700s by using the circumference of the Earth. Wasn't as accurate though, because the Earth isn't perfectly spherical, but it was still a close standard. Today we use the speed of light, which is the Great Pyramid's latitude. The square base of the Great Pyramid is a scaled down measure of the Earth's circumference. If you draw a circle in the measurements of the Great Pyramid, it will give you the length of a tropical year, which is the time it takes the sun to come back to the same position. There's actually so many of these, I could probably make a documentary on it, which I might do. After I get back from Egypt with my friend Robert Grant. He's been nice enough to create a virtual pass if you want to explore and decode some temples and pyramids with us. He'll be giving a talk, I'll be giving a talk. You can find that in any link in my bio. It probably won't be on here too much, so if you want to keep up, check it out.
The reason why we say that we're feeling blue when we're sad is because ships traditionally flew blue flags when their captain passed away.
Oh, okay.
And we say good night, sleep tight, because beds used to be supported by robes, so if you tighten the robes, the bed would get firmer and more comfortable to sleep on. And nosy people are called eavesdroppers because an eave is the part of a roof that extends past the walls of a home, so if someone was trying to overhear a conversation inside, they would stand right under it. A fiasco is a messy situation, but it also means flask in Italian, and when Italian glassmakers messed up one of their designs, they would scrap it and use the glass to make a generic flask instead, a fiasco. If you're being too loud, people will tell you to put a sock in it, and that's because gramophones didn't have volume control, so people would literally stuff socks into the horn to dampen the sound. And pulling all the stops actually comes from the fact that pipe organs do have volume controls. Each pipe is controlled by a knob called a stop, so if all the stops are pulled out, all the pipes can be played at once. And the tallest mast on a ship used to be called a skyscraper, which is why we now call the tallest buildings in a city a skyscraper. The square meal is a full and balanced meal, and we call it that because sailors used to nail these wooden squares to the tables to stop the plates from sliding off.
There are two types of people in this world.
Interesting.
The first person actually says, I want to change my life, and they take steps forward to actively change their life. They join that gym, they start walking 10,000 steps a day, they hire a coach, they stop smoking, they start tracking their food, they start making their bed, they start going to networking events, maybe one a week, they join a yoga studio. I feel like I'm just talking about myself, but you get the point. They take an action, not a big life-changing action, but when you take enough actions, your life starts to change. And for those that don't know me, I'm Ricky. I'm a top 100 podcaster, a coach, and a motivational speaker. I help people actually change their life and take steps forward. I've changed my life a million different times. And I can tell you right now, every single change has either started with a, I'm not doing this anymore, whether that was walking away from weed or walking away from Adderall or moving across the country, or I am implementing this in my life, whether that's walking 10,000 steps a day or yoga or making my bed or vacuuming my apartment every day or posting on social media every day. It was either a big declaration of like, this is out, or I'm bringing this in. The people that don't change their life just talk about it. They're like, I want to change my life. It's so bad. I want to change my life. And they do something that's unrealistic based off of just fear and motivation. Listen, nobody says that changing your life is this easy thing. If it was easy, everyone would do it. There's
Exactly. True that.
But it only takes two things. It takes declaring, I'm not doing this thing anymore, walking away completely, because yes, I'm a big black and white, cold turkey kind of girl. Or it is bringing something into your life, whether that's big or small, a walk, different way of eating, tracking your food, yoga. You get the point. So you get to choose. Are you the person that declares and says, I'm done, and brings in? Or are you the person that just keeps talking about the change you're gonna make? Like, let's move here. Let's take a step forward. Like, you can do this. I promise you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. It's a new year. And who fucking cares if it's a new year, honestly? Because every day is a new day. Every moment is a new moment. I really believe that. Like, there are 12 months in a year, and you can start changing your life in May, and your whole life can be different by June. So you think about it too much. Like, just go do the thing. Go do the thing. And then do it again and again and again and again and again. And wow, you're gonna wake up one day and be like, wow, I'm a different person. It wasn't that hard. It's not that hard. The change is actually easy. It's maintaining the change, right? People are like, oh, the change is so hard. No. The change is easy. It's sustaining the change and maintaining the change.
True that.
Making your bed is easy. Making your bed every day takes more effort. You know what I mean?
How did an American Airlines plane and a Black Hawk helicopter end up in a tragic crash while the plane was attempting to land on runway 33? In the videos ahead, we'll take a closer look at the final hours leading up to the crash. The confusion between the PAT-25 VIP military helicopter and the air traffic controller, and how the rescue operation is being carried out. More details all in the video ahead. The plane had departed from Wichita Dwight D. Eisenhower National Airport in Kansas earlier that evening. A PSA Airlines aircraft, operated under American Airlines and identified as Flight AA5342, collided midair with a military Black Hawk helicopter at approximately 9 p.m. on Wednesday, January 29, 2025. The tragic incident occurred as the plane was making its final approach toward Reagan Washington National Airport in Arlington, Virginia. American Airlines confirmed that 64 people were aboard the jet, 60 passengers and 4 crew members, while 3 soldiers were aboard the military helicopter. This plane's radio transponder stopped transmitting about 2,400 feet, which is around 730 meters short of the runway, roughly over the middle of the river. This has marked the first major U.S. commercial crash in more than 15 years. From an aerial perspective, it is evident that Flight AA5342 was approaching the airport from the south, descending over the scenic Potomac River. This area is known for its proximity to several iconic landmarks, such as the Pentagon, located nearby in Pentagon City. To the north, one can spot the striking dome of the United States Capitol building, a symbol of American democracy. The Potomac River, which encircles the airport and much of Arlington, serves as a natural boundary and offers breathtaking views for arriving flights. However, this area is also densely trafficked, both by air and on the ground, adding to the complexity of air traffic management in the region. American Airlines Flight 5342, which we'll refer to as the landing flight, was on its final approach to runway 33. At this stage, called short final, the aircraft was mere moments from landing, flying at an altitude of about 400 feet. This is the most critical phase of landing, where every second counts and pilots are laser focused on safely bringing the plane down. At the same time, an Army Black Hawk helicopter, identified as PAT-25, was reportedly on a possible training flight. It was flying perpendicular to the flight path of Flight 5342, following the course of the Potomac River. The Potomac River is a designated flight corridor for helicopters, and it's common to see aircraft like this operating in the area. The key difference between the two aircraft in this scenario was their operating rules. The Black Hawk helicopter PAT-25 was flying under visual flight rules. This means it was required to rely on visual observation of its surroundings to avoid other aircraft. The landing Flight 5342 was operating...
Should you keep secrets from your partner?
Oh.
Yes. There are quite a few studies on a concept called selective disclosure. And a matter of fact, one of, I think, the most provocative, compelling studies on selective disclosure looked at one group was told to be entirely transparent to your partner. So tell them everything, every issue, every concern that pops into your mind, tell them, right? That's full transparency. Then the other was selective disclosure. Now, what is selective disclosure? There are rules to selective disclosure. One is that you share information that's relevant, right? You share information that considers their emotions, information that considers their boundaries, information that acknowledges the future of your relationship, that is timely, and the tone is very important, how it's delivered. That's selective disclosure. So this group was told to do that. What do you think happens at the end of the result, at the end of the experiment? Everyone in the transparent group, they've killed each other. They haven't killed each other, but the group that had selective disclosure has higher satisfaction, less conflict, more autonomy in their relationship. So it's very important to know that what I say secret is I'm saying you have to selectively decide, and I think selective disclosure is a concept we should spend more time thinking about.
One of the most useful concepts that men need to understand, it's not how to get the girls or the game or any of that shit. It's understanding how to make your life simple.
This mountain,
true that,
is the only
facts.
It's really weird, right? Because it's the only like biblical place that's really guarded by not the government but the UN.
Really?
So it's the tip of this mountain, right?
Yeah.
And they say this is where Jesus had his transfiguration, or like his transformation there. And bro, it's guarded to this day. Like nobody can go up there. There was an archaeological find like years before the UN started to like barricade and everything. I forgot what they found exactly, but they found like I'm pretty sure it was like a tablet. It was a tablet saying some next prophecy. But anyways, they took it and then they hid it and they put it in like a museum. But nobody's allowed to view it or study it right now. It's literally locked away. You can't, even scientists and archaeologists, they can't like ask for permission. It's just locked away. But the site itself is locked away from the public and locked away from anybody else that's trying to get it by the UN.
If someone started doing drugs at 16 and at 56 years old, they decided to go clean, how old are they?
16. I'll say 16.
16.
Yeah, true.
I'm gonna tell you why, because 16 to 56, your development was arrested. When I see addicts, adults that are starting their lives at those ages, I know that they're the age of where their arrested development happened. When did the arrest happen? At 16? At 17? At 20? I know that you're just starting out now, which is why you have to give the older people grace too.
Oh yeah.
They don't really be knowing.
True.
They don't know.
Oh wow.
Always remember
That's
that according to
interesting.
any type of psychology, a human that's blaming others has a far way to go. A human that's blaming themselves is halfway there. And a human who's not blaming anyone has arrived. I'm Taylor Money. I want you to be abundant in every area of life. So let's do that together. Hit the follow button and I'll see you in the next video.
Not even scientists could explain this Eucharist miracle that happened in Lanciano, Italy. If you got a minute, I'm going to share the story because it's truly amazing how Jesus is truly present in the Eucharist. And really quickly, if you don't know what the Eucharist is, it's a sacrament that Catholics believe is truly the body and blood of Jesus Christ. It all started in the 8th century in Lanciano, Italy, when a Basilian priest was having doubts if this is truly Jesus' body and blood in the Eucharist, and he was having many doubts. And when the priest held up the Eucharist and said the words of consecration, repeating Jesus' words, he said, "This is my body, this is my blood," all of a sudden, the bread started to turn into a real flesh, and the wine turned into real blood.
Really?
The
How
wine
true is
turned into
this?
5 different pieces, which people believe represents Jesus' 5 wounds on the cross. And this is the Eucharist that turned into a real flesh. The priest couldn't believe it, neither could all the people at church that day. So then in 1970, more than 1,200 years later, the Archbishop of Balenciaga wanted this Eucharist thoroughly examined by a scientist because people had doubts. So Dr. Linoli, the head of pathological anatomy, examined this Eucharist. And his results, he couldn't even explain himself. These results were also confirmed by another doctor named Gregorio Batelli. The results came back saying the flesh is real flesh, the blood is real blood. The flesh and the blood belong to the human
This is shocking.
species. The flesh consists of the muscular tissue in the heart. In the flesh, we see present the myocardium, the endocardium, the vagus nerve, and also the left ventricle of the heart. Not only that, but the blood examined appeared to be fresh, even though it was 1,200 years old. The scientists had no explanation of this, simply that it was truly blood and it was truly a human heart. Jesus is truly present in the Eucharist, and this is the best gift he's given us, was to receive him every single day. And this Eucharist miracle was not only a wake-up call to that church, but to the whole world that he is truly present in this beautiful Eucharist. Amen.
I don't know if you knew this.
Okay. Amen.
What do you think is the most cheated profession?
Cheated profession.
Sorry.
Nurse?
What do you think profession
Yes, cheated on.
I heard it was a nurse, but
cheats
then
the
I'm not
most?
sure.
What profession cheats the most? What do you think?
Anything.
A nurse,
Service.
a teacher.
So masseuse, bottle girl, everything. Probably.
No, there's one. There's literally one job that cheats the most
That's
out of
like-
any other profession in the world, bro.
What is it?
I think it's a nurse.
Oh, nurse? Why? 'Cause of long
Yeah,
hours?
got it right.
No. Yeah, it makes sense. Long hours. You're away from home, and like there's other people. You gotta be like the nurses, like guy nurses are fit because you gotta, you feel me, push
know.
around the carts and shit like that.
But then it goes to the theory like, are Filipinos red flags?
Oh. 80% of nurses.
Oh, it comes back around.
Oh, really?
Chill. That's crazy.
Crazy.
Wow, it's
You're gonna
crazy.
flip that. That's so crazy, actually.
Quantum computers scare me.
Okay, what is a quantum computer?
Let me tell you.
the quantum computer is the next stage in evolution for technology. So digital computers, what we have now, all of our phones, all that stuff, it's digital computers. Quantum computer is the next leap. But Google just came out with that Willow chip, right? Which is a quantum computer. And they just did this test where they give it this one thing to figure out. And it would have taken our most impressive supercomputer in the world 10 septillion years to figure out this equation. That's one with 25 zeros behind it.
Whoa.
Incomprehensible.
And it took Google's
25 zeros.
Willow 5 minutes to figure it out.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's just these different theories
This is
of you're
creepy.
able to receive information from different
5
dimensions.
minutes.
Oh boy.
But supposedly the inventor of the quantum computer said that he was able to reach these different dimensions and speak to entities. And I'm just like, that's where you go, stop.
Men are approximately 624% more likely to
is
separate
crazy.
from a
Creepy.
woman if the woman gets sick. If a man becomes terminally ill and his wife becomes the caretaker, there is a 2.9% separation rate. If the woman is terminally ill and their male partner becomes the caretaker, they leave at a 21% rate, which basically means that men are approximately 624% more likely to separate from
624%.
get sick. What the fuck is going on there?
That is alarming, shocking. When people have gone through and interviewed these men, what they will say is that they're no longer getting the emotional intimacy. They're no longer getting the physical intimacy. They're no longer getting the, you fill in the blank. And as a result of no longer getting this thing, they're out.
So why men though? They're over 600% more likely to leave a terminally ill partner than women are.
There's a disproportionate amount of the relationship that's placed on the physical side.
Sex.
Police find tunnel inside KFC stops cold when they realize what's inside. They found the tunnel, and after following the tunnel for hours, they ended up at a home in Mexico. Suddenly, the silence was broken by the sound of footsteps running the other direction. They were not alone. At the end of the 600-yard-long passage, they came to a ladder that led to a trapdoor in the ceiling. They thought it was a dead end until the service dog took one sniff and went ballistic. The Mexican cartel had been running an illegal drug operation in that KFC for years. The operation was immediately shut down and everyone was arrested.
Why the fuck ain't nobody talking about this? They're talking about EMPs being the weapon of choice, and a third of the population could be wiped out quickly. Look, check this out.
And I should say that the EMP committee, their estimate was 8 to 9 out of every 10 Americans could lose their life by the end of the first year. 500,000 people in the air at any given time on 1,000 flights, right? So that's 500,000 people at any moment. Very quickly after that, the SCADA systems begin to fail and you have fire, you have flood. Within 72 hours, you have meltdown at all nuclear facilities. Refrigeration has gone out at supermarkets and at the regional food warehouses. So the food supply ends. There's no access to ATMs or money or financial structure of any type. No access to your prescription medications. No access to law enforcement and no clean water and no food.
We are terrible at listening to warnings about disaster.
Every Bible TV show you need to be watching. First up is The Chosen. This series has 4 seasons on Prime Video, and it tells the incredible story of Jesus, the disciples, and of course the trials and tribulations that went along with that. With amazing acting and biblically accurate depiction, The Chosen is perfect to start.
Comment if you've watched any of these videos before and recommend which one I should watch.
This miniseries has 1 season and 10 incredible episodes that showcase the story of Noah, Moses, and of course Jesus. Watch this one on Prime. Next, AD the Bible Continues. This one purely focuses on the New Testament and the resurrection of Jesus. This one also has 1 season. I wish it could have had more, but you can watch this one on Apple TV and Prime. And last is House of David. This one has not come out yet but releases on Prime Video February 27th. Chronicles the story of David and of course how much God used him as he ruled his nation. Very excited to watch this one. Which of these Bible series have you watched or are going to watch? Let me know.
What's going to happen in the next 5 years is we're going to start seeing a move towards 3-day work weeks, universal basic income, and 4-day weekends. Now what this means is that human beings are going to have a lot of time in our hand. People are still ambitious because there's going to be universal basic income, but we don't want to suppress human desire and ambition. AI that helps you plan your life and your goals and create visions for who you want to be and what you want to accomplish. And then AI to then teach you the right lessons at the right time because schools are going to become irrelevant. And finally, incorporating the best wisdom teachers, the best human educators, so that it's not just AI educating you, but it's human-assisted AI, that human soul cannot be removed from the equation.
The Kebra Nagast, which was a holy book in Ethiopia, tells a fascinating story. Around 1000 BC, the Queen of Sheba, a powerful ruler, traveled to Jerusalem to seek advice from King Solomon. She was so impressed with his wisdom that she decided to stay and learn from him. During her visit, she became pregnant with a son called Menelik. Queen Sheba returned to Ethiopia and made Menelik the first emperor. This story is significant because it connects Ethiopia to the biblical tradition. In 2012, scientists studied the DNA of many Ethiopians and found evidence that supports the story. They discovered that some Ethiopians have genetic links to people from Israel, Egypt, and Syria. This suggests that there was mixing between these groups around 3,000 years ago during Queen Sheba's time. The Kebra Nagast is an important part of Ethiopian heritage, but surprisingly, it's not widely recognized as a holy book. Even many believers haven't heard of it. This shows how the Ethiopian Bible has been overlooked and undervalued. Despite its rich history and cultural significance, it remains a hidden treasure. That's to show you the extent of what was done to discredit and hide the Ethiopian Bible.
One of the things people are baffled by is how someone who's an addict or an alcoholic will consume their drug to a point of self-obliteration. And people who love them will plead with them, "You're destroying yourself." What they don't understand is, what do you think they're trying to do? Destroy self. Drugs and alcohol are not the problem. Self-consciousness is the problem. And for someone who has an acute and crippling case of self-awareness, they will literally try to use all types of distractions, chemical or otherwise, to deaden that sensitivity so that they can have relief from it. So when you tell them, oh, you're destroying self, yeah, exactly. I'm trying to obliterate this separate sense of self called the ego so that I can finally be at peace. Now, the real solution, and the only solution that I know of to be effective, is to experience that relief from self-consciousness through self-transcendence and ultimately God consciousness.
Namibia is a country as big as Nigeria with just 2.6 million people. Now, how many are we in Nigeria?
2.6
million people. We're on the streets of Windhoek, and as you can see, everywhere seems empty. So every time I get, okay, why is Namibia always empty? Two reasons why. But first, let me put it into perspective. Now, imagine a country as big as Nigeria with just 2.6 million population. If you want to find the people, you want to come and have your people inside. Windhoek, which is the capital, only has about maybe 100,000 or 1 million people here in the city capital. Now, secondly, one of the reasons why you find Namibia very scanty is because once it's 4 p.m. to 6 p.m., all establishments close. As you can see, all the shops are closed. So I'm talking about malls, KFCs, restaurants, everything shut down from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. You will hardly find anything. I feel like they have a work-life balance. I mean, they work from 10 and by 6 p.m. they are inside. They are not also like you people.
And this is Namibia on New Year's Day. Can you see the crowd? They don't come outside if there's no reason to. And most of them work and also go to school.
So yes, welcome to Namibia again. I mean, I am loving it in this country. I like it.
Interesting. And we've come to the end of the videos. This was really interesting. This was shocking. This was very revealing. The most mind-bending and mind-blowing things that I, learned or experienced from this video was the Jesus mysteries. Right, it was so real and it was mind-bending, and yeah, I hope you share this. You have to share this with your friends. You have to, because they have to also know the good news in this video. Adios amigos, and I'll catch you guys in my next video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe though. Peace.